Good morning. It's an absolutely beautiful day here today on the farm. I have a really cool technique I want to share with you that I just discovered. Probably some of you already know about it, but did you know that you can use the new Stampin Cut and Emboss Machine from Stampin' Up! With your dies to emboss paper? Not only to cut designs, but you can actually emboss images on your card front with this machine. Really cool. So grab your coffee and tea and let's make a card. Mullen from StampinNotes.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm located in Western New York State outside of a small town called Canisteo. This is the beautiful card I made, and I used the Butterfly Wings dies to just make the impression to emboss butterflies on the white paper on this card. I thought that was really cool, so I want to show you how to do that. This is a stamp set that goes with those dies, Butterfly Brilliance, if I can say it right. And these are the dies that go with that stamp set, Brilliant Wings dies. And these are really cool dies. There are this large die that will fit over the accompanying designer series paper. This is the Butterfly Bijou designer series paper, and you can just die cut your butterflies right out with that. And also these are dies for texture, and there's a little butterfly I forgot I could use. These are the dies that I'm going to be using today to do the impression or the embossing on the basic white paper. And I'm going to get out these. I think I'll use this one, and this smaller one here. This is really cool. I had no idea that you could do this with our new Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And so first of all, I better give you the measurements for this card. For your card base, it's 4 1/4 by 11. It's scored at 5 1/2. You need a piece of the Butterfly Bijou designer series paper, and that is 4 1/2 by 4, or excuse me, that is 5 1/2 by 4. And for this card, next card we're going to make, I'm going to use this paper with a So Saffron card base. And this paper is gorgeous. Both sides are beautiful. Anyways, going on, we need a piece of basic white cardstock that's 5 1/2 by 3 1/4, and this is the piece that you will do your embossing on. And you need a piece for the inside that is 5 1/4 by 4. You need a scrap of, we're going to use So Saffron for the double oval punch to do our sentiment. We're going to use the larger oval for So Saffron, So Saffron, and the smaller one for basic white to stamp the sentiment on. I'm using the Elegant Faceted Gems to add some little bling on the front of the card. If you do not get all the measurements, I will have them in the description below the video, as well as a link to my online store to purchase any of the supplies to make this card. I'd love to have you subscribe to my channel. If you subscribe, also hit that little bell, and then you'll be notified when I upload my next video tutorial, and you won't miss any. All right, so I'm bringing in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And if you have not seen this machine, what I love about it is that it folds up. It's great for storage. You just fold these in, and it folds right up like that. All right, so normally our sandwich, if we're going to die cut paper, we have, for this machine, we have the base, and we have plate number 2, which is this plate right here. And as you can see, mine is pretty warped. And then you would have your plates. You have the bottom plate, and then you would put your paper in with your die, and then you would put this plate over it. So to just emboss, what I discovered was we don't need this thin plate number 2. We're just going to use our bottom plate. I'm going to bring in a silicone mat, and this is what we normally use for any glue when we're gluing. I'll go back. We're going to use the basic big plate. We're not using number 2. We're using our bottom plate and then the silicone mat. Then I'm going to lay down my cardstock that I'm going to do the embossing. So this is 3 1/4 by 5 1/2. Then I'm going to take my dies that I want to emboss with on this paper, and I'm going to lay them on there. So I think I will go with this little guy at the top, and this one at the bottom. I'm going to make them going in opposite directions. So we want this one like this, and this one like that. All right, so the plate's gonna go on like this. Now this will still emboss if I run it through the machine like this, but if I wanted to get a little bit of a better image, so I'm just taking a piece of cardstock that covers that, and this isn't the thick, this is the thin cardstock, and I'm just gonna run that through once, like that. And I'll show you what we got here. So we have our beautiful images. I hope you can see these. They're embossed on that cardstock. And it's so pretty. It would be pretty just a card with this, with the white on it, with little specks of black ink on there. So we've got our embossed images. Here's one that I did, and I used a piece of the backing from our designer series paper. It's a little bit thicker. It's this stuff right here. It was too heavy, and I don't know if you can see, but it like die cut part of the card. So I needed a shim that was thinner, and then I tried the thick basic white, and it was still too heavy. So the shim that I used is just a plain piece of basic white designer series paper. It's not the thick, just the regular. So we've done our embossing on that, and I'm going to move the Stampin' Cut Emboss Machine out. I'm going to do some sponging of the butterflies. Okay, so I'm going to bring in we have our butterflies, and I'm going to bring in my So Saffron ink. I had tried it with a daffodil, and it was just too bright with this paper. I didn't think it went well with it. So we'll do this again. See what we got. The saffron is a little more muted. And I'm just taking this and gently rubbing it over the surface of the butterfly. I've got like a gob of ink there. And yeah, I like this a lot better. It's softer. Okay, so you can see this is a little dark right here, but I'm going to leave that for now. And I want to go on, and it doesn't matter if you get out of the lines a little bit. It just kind of gives it a light, soft watercolor look. I'll get a little more ink on this one. A little darker on this side because this side seems to be a little dark. That's really pretty. Okay, so there are our butterflies. And you'll see where these bumps are, where the probably the machine was a better pressure, that these are raised up a little more. So that's why they're darker right there. And I think I'll try and make these ones around it a little darker just so it looks a little better. All right, so now I had already put this front on the card stock base, and yes, this goes better than, see how that's so bright with the So Saffron, but I'll use this for something else. So we've got our base here, and I'm going to try and take a little bit of my chalk and marker and go over that where it's really dark on that butterfly and see if I can lighten that up a little bit. Yeah. And right here. And you want to get down on the side of it there. All right, so I think I'll go with, this is the organdy ribbon, and it's in a petal pink, I think, which will, I think that'll go good with that. And I'm going to tie it around this. I can bring this out now. Make our loop, go around it, and make, that's a little too tight. Okay, and I'm going to anchor this down with a glue dot, like that. Now I'm bringing in the oval punch, the double oval punch. I think that's what it's called. Let's do that. I want a piece of whisper white for the sentiment. I'm bringing a piece of So Saffron for the base. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment, and the sentiments I'm using today are from Mini Mates. I like these because they were small and they would fit on this little oval here, and I'm going to stamp in Basic Gray, Celebrate. It fits right on there very nicely. I will pop that onto this with dimensionals. I think I'll use 3 here. Okay, we're going to pop this on here like this. And then I'm going to take and glue this right onto there. And again, I'm bringing in my multi-purpose liquid glue. I'm just going to hold that down there a minute. This goes on the front and the center. Okay, so that's centered on there. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in my elegant faceted gems, and I am just going to give them a little bit of color with a So Saffron marker. And I'm just going to take my marker. I like to use the bullet tip end and just color them while they're still on the sheet here. We'll do about 3 or 4 of them. And it's going to be it's just a very light color. And we need a small one here. Okay, we'll put one here. I'll put a larger one below that one. And I think I'll put a large one right here. And then we need another one like over here. And I'm going to add a little more color. Oops, not that much. Okay, so I've got this boo-boo here where I got ink. That's why we color these on here. Fix this. I'm going to take this image from here and just add a little bit of color on this with the So Saffron. You stamp, you learn to cover your boo-boos. Okay, so I'm going to come in with this and lightly there. So that looks pretty good. All right, we fixed that. And then all we have left to do is the inside sentiment. But this is our basic card. Isn't that pretty? And then inside, I'm going to make this a birthday card. So I hope you enjoyed this, learning about this, and I hope you have a great week. I'll see you next week. Take care.